If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're studying Lesson 148 in A Course in Miracles today. And we're in the Workbook for Students, Lesson 148, which is a review of Lessons 135 and 136. We're reading from the original edition, and the 135 is, if I defend myself, I am attacked. The idea that if you have defended yourself, then you believe that you're being attacked. And remember, you're the way God created you. You can't be attacked. You can't be diminished. You can't be made less. You're eternal, and you always will be, whether you know it or not now. You might as well know it. So watch for those feelings where you feel like you're defending yourself, and realize that you're feeling invulnerable. And let go of that perception of yourself, because it is not real. It's a concept you've made of yourself. It's an idol of the Holy Son of God. It's not really you. Even though in this world it might appear to be a conception of you, but that's what precipitates into sickness, which are Lesson 136. Sickness is a defense against the truth. We get sick so we can prove to ourselves that we are vulnerable. Well, why do you want to prove what's not true? Well, the ego has an invested interest in proving it, because that's what keeps it alive. But it's the concept of yourself that's separate from the eternal. So, our two lessons today in our review, all enclosed in the umbrella idea, which he really wants us to get. My mind holds only what? What I think with God. That's who our reality is. Everything else is a dream we're going to wake up from. It's how I like to think of it. 135 and 136, under that umbrella idea of my mind holds only what I think with God, is if I defend myself, I am attacked. And sickness is a defense against the truth. So when you're sick, just realize that, okay, that's just the momentum of a deluded mind that's manifesting itself in this time-space reality experience. And I can step away from it and take a deep breath and realize that my mind holds only what I think with God. That is my reality, regardless of appearances or feelings to the contrary. Okay. And we're going to add, well, let's go look in our text. I'll tell you what we're going to add in a minute. Our text reading today, we're starting a new chapter, 16, The Forgiveness of Illusions. It'll be a fun chapter. We're going to read the introduction and section 2, True Empathy. You're going to learn about how to be empathetic, true empathy. Okay, to empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand. Okay, that's how it starts in our chapter. We're going to learn how to not understand suffering, but to understand our invulnerability, which is what our lesson's all about today. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. Okay, well, as you're turning chapter 16, let me tell you a little bit about what on earth is going on today. It's Amnesty International Day. Amnesty is it's an official pardon for people who have been convicted of political offenses. So Amnesty International Day. Indianapolis 500, and the way I like to think of amnesty is, I like to think of we don't want to fight for truth, the Course tells us. We want to side with truth. If you fight for truth, you lose in your freedom. You don't fight for freedom, because that's how you can be sure to lose it when you fight. Because if I defend myself, I am attacked. So but we do want to side with the truth. So that's how I like to think of Amnesty International. Indianapolis 500 Days, been races going on since 1911. 200 laps on a 2.5 mile race there in Indianapolis, the Indy 500. International Hamburger Day, and if you're a vegan like I am or vegetarian, you make yourself a black bean burger or some whatever. I used to make them out of beans. I like them that way. Just take your black beans and just mash them up, add a little seasoning to it, maybe some onion, whatever, and fry them. A little bit of oil, if any at all. Menstrual Hygiene Day, National Brisket Day, Neighbor Day. And there's also a World Neighbor Day at a different time in the year, but today's Neighbor Day, which began back in 2000 in Paris. Pentecost today, so also known as Whit Sunday, shortened, come from the word white Sunday, exemplifying the purity of the Holy Spirit that descended on the apostles 50 days after the resurrection. According to that's the Bible story, though. Slugs return from Capistrano Day. Slugs only travel about, I think I read about 6 inches an hour. So they didn't come very far to get back to Capistrano, where the swallows, they come in the middle of March, and they come from, somewhere in Mexico, that they come back every year to they're cliff swallows, and they've taken up residence in an old mission called San Juan Capistrano Mission, between these rivers that it's just a nice place for swallows to live. Whooping Crane Day, and it's talking about the whooping crane is all white except for black at its wingtips and its facial markings. Anyway, Whooping Crane Day. And okay, and I also want to tell you a little bit about a particular plant out of Baker Creek heirloom seed that my teacher thought was a nice thing that we should grow, Charlie. And it's the Luffa gourd. Let me tell you a little bit about Luffa gourds. Let me get my glasses here. Also known as a dishcloth Luffa. Luffa, its Latin name is, genus is Luffa, species is Egyptica, I think is how you pronounce it. And it says here that in the Burpee's 1888 catalog, it said, a natural dishcloth and a most admirable one. Many people prefer this as a dishcloth. The fruit grows about 2 feet, and the vine is very ornamental, producing clusters of yellow flowers, yellow blossoms, in pleasing contrast with the silvery shaded dark green foliage. In the north, this variety requires a starting in a hotbed. The dried interior of these gourds have already become an article of commerce grown in Florida. They are sold in Philadelphia and New York druggists. Sold by Philadelphia and New York druggists. Tasty, cooked like okra when they're young. So you can eat them when they're young, and then they can grow a little bigger, and you wash your dishes with them. And that's a loofah. You've probably seen them. I wish I had one to show you. I've used them before. See right there below, there's the whole picture of them. And that's your loofah gourd out of Baker Creek heirloom seed. Thank you, Baker Creek, for sharing that with us. Okay, let's go look at 1 Forgiveness of illusions. And so we're ready for, it's chapter 16. We're going to start with the introduction. Keep in mind today, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth, and my mind holds only what I think with God. And look, before we read, look over at that italicized portion. I'm not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. Your mind holds only what you think with God. Let that lead you. Who is your guest? We're going to learn about this, but it's the Holy Spirit. And you can either invite the Holy Spirit as your guest, or you can invite, maybe through ignorance, the ego to be your guest. And whoever you choose to follow is going to bring you either peace or pain. Okay, forgiveness of illusions. Introduction. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand. Well, that's how most of us have thought empathy was, is to kind of, share in the suffering of your brothers and sisters. But he starts off in here in this section. To empathize does not mean to join in suffering, for that is what you must refuse to understand. That is the ego's interpretation of empathy, and is always used to form a special relationship in which the suffering is shared. The capacity to empathize is very useful to the Holy Spirit, provided you let him use it in his way. His way is very different. He does not understand suffering and would have you teach it is not understandable. When he relates through you, he does not relate through the ego to another ego. He does not join in pain, knowing that healing pain is not accomplished by delusional attempts to enter into it and lighten it by sharing the delusion. Paragraph 2. The clearest proof that empathy as the ego uses it is destructive lies in the fact that it is applied only to certain types of problems and in certain people. These it selects out and joins with, and it never joins except to strengthen itself. Having identified with what it thinks it understands, it sees itself and would increase itself by sharing what is like itself. Make no mistake about this maneuver. The ego always empathizes to weaken, and to weaken is always to attack. Okay? So when you're trying to weaken someone's self, or that is what attack is to try to weaken. So keep that in mind. Make no mistake about this maneuver. The ego always empathizes to weaken, and to weaken is always to attack. You do not know what empathizing means, yet of this you may be sure. If you will merely sit quietly by and let the Holy Spirit relate through you, if you will merely sit quietly by, and let the Holy Spirit relate through you, you will empathize with strength, and both of you will gain in strength and not in weakness. So empathizing, the physical manifestation of it is you're going to merely sit quietly by. I think I could learn how to listen a lot better. And that's what he's saying, what empathy does. Your part is only to remember this. You do not want anything you value to come of the relationship. Wow. Your part is only to remember this. You do not want anything you value to come of the relationship. Of course, that's referring to the you, the separated self view. You will neither to hurt or not to heal. You will neither to hurt it nor to heal it in your own way. You will neither to hurt it nor to heal it in your own way. We get it right finally. You will neither to hurt it nor to heal it in your own way. You do not know what healing is. All you have learned of empathy is from the past, and there is nothing from the past that you would share, for there is nothing there that you would keep. Do not use empathy to make the past real and so perpetuate it. Don't want to perpetuate the past. Step gently aside and let the healing be done for you. Step gently aside and let the healing be done for you. Keep but one thought in mind and do not lose sight of it, however tempted you may be to judge any situation and determine your response by judging it. Focus your mind only on this: I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. Capital G for guest, the Holy Spirit. I have invited him. We've invited the Holy Spirit in. Now we don't want to intrude the past, which is our own perception of what, that's where judgment comes from, we're realizing. I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. I need do nothing except not to interfere. Let's read it once again. And look what he says here. The sentences leading up to it. Keep but one thought in mind, and do not lose sight of it. However tempted you may be to judge any situation and determine your response by judging it, focus your mind only on this: I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. Step back and let him lead the way. Okay, true empathy. Section 2, paragraph 5. True empathy is of him who knows what it is. You will learn his interpretation of it if you will let him use your capacity for strength and not for weakness. He will not desert you, but be sure that you desert not him. Humility is strength in this sense only: to recognize and accept the fact that you do not know is to recognize and accept the fact that he does know. Let's read that sentence again. Humility is strength in this sense only: to recognize and accept the fact that you do not know, can't stop there, is to recognize and accept the fact that he does know. So false humility, or humility that's really is more arrogance than humility, is I don't know. But when you can say I don't know, but I know who knows, and I can listen to him as my guide, now you're practicing true humility, he calls it. Humility is strength, and in this sense only: to recognize and accept the fact that you do not know is to recognize and accept the fact that he does know. You are not sure that he will do his part because you have never yet done yours completely. So we want to have what's called humility with strength. And the way that we have that is by recognizing that we don't know and that he does. Of quietly contemplating the idea. My mind holds only what I think with God for 5 minutes for that, and then however time you want with the other two ideas today being, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. And then be about your day with an hourly reminder of those ideas. So you are not sure that he will do his part because you have never yet done yours completely. You will not know how to respond to what you do not understand. Be tempted not in this, And yield not to the ego's triumphant use of empathy for its glory. Be tempted not in this, and yield not to the ego's triumphant use of empathy for its glory. 6. The triumph of weakness is not what you would offer to a brother, and yet you know no triumph but this. This is not knowledge, and the form of empathy that would bring this about is so distorted that it would imprison what it would release. The unredeemed cannot redeem, yet they have a Redeemer. Attempt to teach him not. You are the learner, he the teacher. Do not confuse your role with his, for this will never bring peace to anyone. Yeah, it goes so well with what I've already said. Step back and let him lead the way. Don't confuse your role with his. Offer your empathy to him, and it is his perception and his strength that you would share. Offer your empathy to him, for it is his perception and his strength that you would share. And let him offer you his strength and his perception to be shared through you. 7. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship which looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. The meaning of love is lost in any relationship which looks to weakness and hopes to find love there. The power of love, which is its meaning, lies in the strength of God, which hovers over it and blesses it silently by enveloping it in healing wings. Let this be, and do not try to substitute your, in quotes, miracle, which isn't a miracle, for this. Let this be, and do not try to substitute your miracle for this. We once said that if a brother asks a foolish thing of you, to do it. But be certain that this does not mean to do a foolish thing that would hurt either him or you, for what would hurt one will hurt the other. Foolish requests are foolish for the simple reason that they conflict, because they contain an element of specialness. Only the Holy Spirit recognizes foolish needs as well as real ones, and He will teach you how to meet both without losing either. And he made reference to that idea that if your brother asks you to do something foolish, do it because it does not matter. But he does put a qualifying note in here. If it's going to hurt either one of you, don't do it because what you share. If it's going to hurt you, don't do it. If it's going to hurt them, don't do it. Because it's going to hurt both of you in the long run, or in the immediate. I said in the long run, but even in the immediate. Paragraph 8, and you're almost finished with this section. You will attempt to do this only in secrecy, and you will think that by meeting the needs of one, you do not jeopardize another because you keep them separate and secret from each other. That is not the way, for it leads not to light and truth. No needs will long be left unmet if you leave them all to Him whose function is to meet them. That is His function and not yours. No needs will long be left unmet if you leave them all to Him whose function is to meet them. Give them to the Holy Spirit to take care of. That is His function and not yours. He will not meet them secretly, for He would share everything you give through Him, and that is why He gives it. And the last paragraph, which is also the last couple sentences. What you give through Him is for the whole sonship, not for part of it. Leave Him His function, for He will fulfill it if you but ask Him to enter your relationships and bless them for you. Okay, well, let's sing our song and be about our Father's business today. Let's make sure I get this right. If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. Sickness is a defense defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest, the Holy Spirit. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. If I am not alone, I would not intrude. I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. I am not alone, and I would not intrude the past upon my guest. I have invited him, and he is here. I need do nothing except not to interfere. I need do nothing except not to interfere. If I defend myself, I am attacked. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God. If I defend myself, I am attacked. Sickness is a defense against the truth. My mind holds only what I think with God.